All right, everyone, welcome back to the Films Podcast, where I get the opportunity to speak with some amazing individuals and get their testimony on what brought them to the film industry. Now, this is an opportunity for you to learn so that the wisdom that they have learned through their life can be applied to your life. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest. Her name is Carolyn, and she is a photographer. Her page is amazing. If you want to go follow her over at Instagram at Shifting Gears Images, she has a wonderful page full of different cars, expensive cars at that. And yeah, so without further ado, Carolyn, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, Blake. How you doing?
Good, good. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it because I think, you know, people want to hear the good stuff. So, all right, so if someone's trying to get started in photography, kind of
hmm
like what kind of gear would they need to get started? So we'll say like a budget friendly.
Absolutely. I started off with a Canon PowerShot, and that was
Oh,
back in
wow, yeah.
2016, and I got it as a Christmas present because I wanted to marry up my love for cars, but also being able to showcase, um, showcase like what I am seeing, showcase just my just basically art through a lens. And I ended up, at the age that I was at, a lot of my friends were married, having kids, and all that. And I thought it was a great idea to combine the artistic as well as the autonomy, as well as the just being able to kind of be a loner in a sense. At least that's what I thought was going to happen. Turned out not so much. I ended up meeting a great amount of people when I started going to car shows and all that. And how I got even started, just backtracking a little bit before then, when I ended up getting the camera, I just went online and I found somebody that was taking a day to do a training session. It was like $100, and it was just the basics of photography. And we did this like 4 hour long class, and then we went out to a location. I think it couldn't have been Ann Springs. It was another park that we had gone to just to be able to try new techniques and just basics of what we learned.
Mm,
So I was ready to roll at that point, and I thought, okay, so went out to a Cars and Coffee one day,
yeah.
and just I think I took about 300 pictures. And I noticed when so now I have this collection of pictures, first time out, never having done this
Yeah.
before. Met some great people, and I went on their Facebook page, Cars and Coffee at the time, and I thought their page is kind of sad. There was
Mm,
all it was is a photo of a car and where they were going to be, this is the next date that we're going to be out and about. And I just thought, well, maybe they would like these photos. I've got 300 photos. I think I didn't even have Lightroom at the time. I had no editing
oh,
software.
wow.
I just had the editing software that was on my MacBook Pro that I also got around the same time. And that is all I used. Well, lo and behold, they loved the photos, and all 300 photos ended up getting showcased on their Facebook page. And that really, and at the time I did have a Facebook page under a different name. It was CMR Automotive Photography. And that put me on the map in 2 seconds, because the thing that is what it's all about is being able to get your name out there. And the fact that I was able to give them photos, not charging. I had no reason whatsoever to charge for any of that. No business charging for it. But people are like, okay, CMR Automotive Photography, these are cool pictures. I'm going to check out her page, because I had all the shows loaded on the page. And then everybody kind of started following me from that. And so you just have to get out there. You have to
Mm,
get out there. You are as bottom rung, and you have to be as humble on that level as bottom rung as possible, because you really there are fantastic and amazing photographers, 1,000 times better than what I could ever hope to be. They're the ones that are out there, and they're the ones that, yeah, they can charge a fortune and they absolutely can back it up. But when you are first going out, you got, all you got is your name at that point, and it, that's how it just starts. You've got to get to that starting point, and you can't be afraid. It was just kind of like, y'all need some pictures. I got some pictures if you want them. Well, then it started turning into an expectation. So the next month, we ended up going back out there. And now all of a sudden, everybody's kind of remembering you from the previous month. So I'm getting a little bit more bold with literally sitting on the ground as cars are coming in. And I'm just shooting them like they're 2 feet away from hitting me. I don't care, because when you're near death, those are the best shots.
No,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was and it just really continued to evolve, where I was doing this month after month for a year. And
Mm.
300, it was like 300 plus shots each and every time I went out. So I was there from the time it started until the time it ended, and the whole rest of the weekend I was just editing and shooting them out there and getting them out there. But it was all with my Canon PowerShot.
Yeah.
And what I liked about the camera too is it was red, so people definitely started to remember me just from the fact
Oh,
that
wow.
the camera was a different color.
Yeah.
I still have that camera. It still takes amazing pictures. It's a DSLR, but it's truly entry level, very very basic settings. But that is how the whole thing got started.
And so when I oftentimes try to tell people that they don't need, and I say that, and I end up buying the most expensive stuff, but um, the like you don't need the most expensive stuff to get started.
Yeah.
You know, and I just had a podcast with a gentleman. His name is Dragon, and he's a photographer as well. And what he was saying is that more than the gear that you buy, it's how you use it and how skillful you become with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's
Absolutely.
like if you use like a more expensive camera, but you have no idea how to use it, then it's just
Correct.
kind of useless. So
Absolutely.
so all right. Number one, to all the viewers listening, make sure you get a camera that you would enjoy. Do research on it. Figure out, what the reviews on it. Is it reliable? Because you don't want a camera that is gonna crap out on you 3 months down the road. So, is it reliable? And is it red? So, is it red? And
Well,
so,
I'm
if it's
still
red,
on eBay to get those cameras now for, and I think, and because I have two core lenses that I use, I was super close to getting a used exact same camera that I had, the Canon PowerShot, because I wanted to be literally to go, especially with how fast things can get when you're especially at a race or something like that. You got to switch out lenses in a hurry. And I thought, this is not what I want to be doing, because I've missed a shot. There's a car coming by. I got the wrong lens. There goes the car, and I'm still trying to fiddle around with getting a lens on there. And I thought, no, 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 no. So I went and looked for another exact same camera, but I was gonna have it be black so that I just had the two different colors. I
yeah, yeah.
didn't end up getting it because I did end up moving into mirrorless. I now shoot with the Canon R6. Um, and that is a whole nother, it is a game changer, because that also is where technology is. And you have to think, and I have only had that camera for about a year, but I've got tons of pictures on my Instagram that I took with my Canon, the PowerShot, and there really is not a whole lot of difference. Um, but there is in the performance aspect, being able to shoot frames 1,000 times faster on the mirrorless than a base one. So when you're really getting those nitro drag cars that are getting down to the end of the track in 3 seconds with like 10,000 horsepower. Yeah, it's gonna be hard on a basic camera to be able to get those kinds of shots. But it's been fantastic. But you do, the mirrorless is great too. There's a lot of features that I have not um messed with yet because I don't. It's I'm not. I don't need to kind of go down that route yet. What I have it set up as is what I need it to be. And now I do have two. I did end up getting a used. I ended up getting a new again as a present. I got a used for so that I could have two cameras at the same time, and they are going to be preset. So I just need a shot, grab the camera, take the shot, and then oh, I need the other one with the longer lens, grab that, it's ready to go, and very few adjustments need to be made. So that has been well worth it. That's
So
where you start getting into, and you know, it really isn't about the camera body either. The Canon PowerShot, it came as a kit, so it came with a telephoto lens, which wasn't very long, but it came with two base lenses, and they honestly were great for beginner lenses. But at the end of the day, if you really want to just keep growing in your hobby, definitely put the money in the lenses for sure. The body is fine as long as it's a reputable like Canon, Nikon, Sony. Those would be kind of the three I would stay in. But if you know, kick out some money, and again, I had kicked out some money for some used lenses. That is the glass is where it really is at. It really is. The body's great and all of that, but where you're going to see a tremendous difference is going to be in the quality of lenses you do get.
so if for the viewer listening, say they have a Canon RX, or they have even just a Canon M50, for vlogging or whatever. Um, Now, kind of what lenses would you suggest that they get in order to elevate their photos?
So
Like, do you have any
so
brands that you would suggest?
oh, it's Canon. You know, I used a third party lens. Tamron is a decent third party
Yeah,
lens.
yeah.
Yeah, there. I don't know other third party lenses aside from Tamron that I would suggest. But it did work well until I moved into the mirrorless, and then it had a hard time talking with the Canon.
Mm,
So um I was coming up on another shoot. I needed to have my gear working properly. It was going to be a lot of speed shots. I did not have time to try to figure out why the lens was it was stalling. Like when you were trying to really get those speed shots in, it would start hanging up. And it was a
what?
used Tamron lens, so I may have spent like $300 on a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. And then I thought, okay, and it was a huge. I was doing a first responders type race. I shot 3,000 photos that night. You just there's so much comfort in knowing that you have good gear that it is reliable. That
Yeah.
people a whole lot of people were waiting on these pictures, and you did not need to have your gear starting to glitch. And so I had just quickly bought a Canon, probably more than Nikon and Sony, I would
Mm,
say, really want to make their lenses and camera to where nothing else will work as good as the Canon with the Canon lens with the Canon body. So they kind of get you down that hole of I'm just gonna get a Canon. It's a whole lot more seamless. I've had no issues whatsoever once I just kept everything Canon. Again, you can buy. I will throw out MVP. Um, they have used lenses. I bought two. I've sold a couple as well through them. It's
Mm,
fantastic to have worked with them. Also, B&H Photo has a used section as well. They have really good prices as well. B&H is great all the way around for anything, because I did get my cameras from them. Um, and there's one other one, I can't remember what it is, but those I definitely would recommend, and getting used. There's no reason, especially when you're doing this as a hobby, there's just no reason to get anything that is um
crazy expensive.
absolutely, because the lens that I ended up getting that was used was half the cost of what it would have been new.
Yeah.
And and it performs, and it's also in like new condition or excellent condition. And when I get these lenses, they look brand new, so there's no reason to go down that road unless you're making crazy amounts of money in your hobby.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
where you can end up going, yeah, I'm gonna buy the because I have to, because these lenses were meant to go both with mirror and with DSLR, provided that you have a adapter to it.
Yeah.
I did not get the RF lenses. I got the EF lenses, which is what went with the DSLR. But then I put on the mirrorless an adapter so I could just go ahead and adapt, and it's worked great. But now that I've got the two mirrorless, maybe eventually, no time soon, would I go and actually get the lenses that connect without the adapter, which would be the RF lenses. But
So does the
one
adapter
lens,
affect it at all?
I'm sorry,
Does the adapter affect like the quality of the pictures or
it 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 doesn't. I have heard, I've read reviews where there can sometimes be a. Hang on a second. I put my hand up and I started making the camera
yeah, yeah,
trap.
yeah.
Um, is there what was the question? Sorry.
So does an
Oh, the
adapter
adapter.
affect yeah.
No, it did for some people. I think that the difference, and I haven't been able to try it because I don't have RF lenses, but just like anything else, it the um EF lens is better designed for the EF body and the RF to the RF.
Yeah.
The adapter's been great. I've not had any issues. Some people have had issues. I've not seen that yet, but I'm also not out there every day, all day being a photographer either. But in the amount of that I have put um, on this camera and the amount of shots I have taken has been maybe 10,000 since I've had this lens now. I have not seen any issues, and that is why I haven't turned around to go ahead and pony up for getting the RF lenses.
No,
Um,
yeah. I mean if we're talking, you know, wanting the right gear for the right situation,
mhm.
if you have a lens that doesn't really fit, and you're like, "Oh, I really need this." Go ahead and get that adapter. I mean, I use
Oh yeah.
ChatGPT to basically just like say, "Hey, what kind of adapter do I need to fit on
Mhm.
this camera?" And it'll search it for me, and
Yep.
then I just buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, and they're like $100.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a $2,000 lens, it's kind of like what's $100 to make it work? Because, well, again, you can look at it this way: if a lens for a 2070, excuse me, for a 2070 for a 70, excuse me, 200 millimeter lens, a decent price will run you $1,000 if you want to have, it to be on the new excellent type side. Easy now. And if when you think of how expensive that lens originally was, kicking out an extra $100 for the adapter far outweighs spending a couple thousand.
Yeah. I mean, you're
So I would
talking
recommend
like
it in a heartbeat.
you're talking like, you know, and $1,000 investment that you've made into, say, a company, and then now you have to spend, or now you're trying to spend an extra $100 to get like an added bonus from that company, or whatever, like the analogy, that it's just like the cost of the $100 is far exceeded by the benefits that you'll receive from getting that adapter.
Right.
But sometimes you just got to be like, okay, like I know I've got this, and I know I want to create these photos, but what do I need? And it's just really taking steps in order to um, get the right gear for the right moment
Mm-hmm.
and capturing the right stuff. So, all right,
Yep.
so now I really want to pivot into kind of what it looks like as a hobbyist in photography. Maybe if that hobbyist is trying to go full time with it, but just doesn't know the steps. Um, and as someone that has a full time career and trying to balance that as well, how does that look like for you? Trying to balance a full time career and photography.
Yeah, it's a balance. And if you are not careful, you will burn out in a heartbeat. Especially with this time of year, there's a car show. I could have been at one today. I will be at one next week. I can have one. We might have that shoot coming up a couple weeks in from now. There is always, if you want to, you either can get as super involved or as uninvolved as you want when you're looking at it from a hobby perspective. But if you really are trying to generate some clientele, you have got to be out at everything that you can find. When I was going full tilt into it, I was going every single weekend to some sort of car show, 1 and 2 times a weekend. And that is how you meet people. That is how, and it's the meeting people that is everything. Because
Mm,
you can walk away, and again, this kind of can take some time, because for me, I had to start developing confidence in my product.
mm,
For me to go and see somebody's amazing Corvette or Maserati or Lotus and be able to say, I can do an amazing shoot for this car. Man, I better have it down to where I
yeah.
truly can back that up. And that is where it is constant practice. So again, you really have to build, that up. And you've got, if people, so when people were wanting shoots of their cars privately, I really, they were kind of like, how much do you charge? And I didn't know any way to answer that, because I have never done this before on that scale where I'm going to be shooting somebody's car in exchange for money. It was kind of foreign to me, because I really was looking at this, well, it's a hobby. I don't expect to get really paid for this, but I thought it's about the experience. Somebody wants me to shoot their car right now, I'll just be like, "Hey, I've got some ideas. Let me give it
Mm.
a try. See where we can go with this. And if you like them, great. On to the next." That's truly how I felt. Now, if you are trying to make this your sole career, and again, this is because I have a full time career. If you are trying to make this something you are getting paid for on the regular, yeah, you have got to be doing this all the time, constantly, burnout or not. You got to keep doing it, because you've got to get that practice under your belt so you can show people, build up a portfolio. Right now, I took myself off Facebook, but that was my portfolio. Instagram is my portfolio. People see what you can do and they're like, "Hey, come out to some show we have next," or "Do you do private shoots?" Or, "Do you have a good location where we could do those types of things will come. But again, you've really got to keep selling yourself with what you can do, and be able to show people on a dime, "Hey, this is what I can do for you." Just last week, We met a Lamborghini owner coming out of the gym.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. But it was this matte black um
Speaking of
car.
black, uh, go ahead and continue. You're fine.
um it was just this matte black, and I literally just stand there and gawk because you just don't see that every day. And I had a little card with my information on it, which I keep very simple, just my name and where you can go. Nowadays, especially, I tell you this for women, you've got to watch what you put on your cards, on your Instagram. You have got to lay very low in your profile because anything can happen if you just start making, oh, I just did it again. Start um making yourself almost just where you have too much from, if your phone number is your personal number, do not put that on a business card.
Yeah.
Have a whole separate phone that can't be tracked. Dang it. Okay. Have a separate phone number, where you can't be tracked on it. Have a completely separate email, business email, something that just keeps you as low key and as possible. And that is why I have very little information at all on my cards. I'm gonna change that up and make something a little bit more memorable than just a card. But it just has my name and it has my Instagram, and that is how people can go and take a look. And that's my bio right there. If you like what you see on that in that Instagram feed, then let's talk. And that's pretty much, we were, as you know, we're working on getting some things together for a shoot, and definitely could have used his car, but you just got to walk right up. And thankfully he was there at the time to be able to talk to. And it's just, hey, we've got this shoot coming up. We could use a car like yours.
Yeah.
About it. And people that love their cars like this guy did, man, they're all about it, and you just, and my husband's been really good about really kind of shoving me out there, because I tend to be a bit more reserved. I tend to be a little bit less or more skeptical about talking to people. um so he's helped me get a little bit more aggressive about it. But yeah, it's just, those are the kinds of things you need to do more and more. And if you want, you need to hit up these business owners, like with us meeting at Rally Point when their grand opening. You go, several weeks prior, we met the owner and ended up talking to him and saying, hey, you need some shots of and now you got to really start thinking, what can I pull out of my experience that is going to be meaningful to this potential client? Well, I could take I have taken so many shots at car shows. You could blindfold me and I would know if you just point out where the car is, I would know exactly what shots I need to be able to take
Yeah.
to make that car look good, because I've taken so many of different types of cars by now. So for him, I can say, look, I can take any shot you want. What is it that you're looking for? What
Mhm.
kind of pictures do you need? And when you are able to have that confidence, that only comes truly with experience. And what's happening, I'm noticing, as we've talked about, that there is a trade that can happen where they may not know how to pay you. There is a huge gamut of what you can charge for photos. It is shocking. When I shoot for that first responders charity race, because it's a charity race, I don't charge anything. If I did charge 8 to 10 grand for the amount of time that I spend, the amount of shots that I give them, and the travel expenses, because it's just an hour away. but
Yeah.
you can dial it down and itemize every single thing that you've done and come out and give a price of that. And in today's world, that's that's a pretty average price that you could do, because you could do even the lowest end, $75 an image. You give them 150 images, look at the price right there. And
Yeah.
I spent 6 hours that evening out there on the track shooting, and then 2 days, straight days of going through all the images and whittling it down and doing that process and editing and all of that. And the turnaround time, 48 hours later, to be able to give them high quality printable shots that they could use for whatever they needed. Yeah, that's but there's no way I could ever there's no way I could ever charge that kind of money. And they had told me and how I ended up getting this particular job is because of somebody that I had known at my work, who knew one of the it's the First Responders First, and he's a pastor. The founder is a pastor, and he helps out law enforcement and first responders that are going through issues. Maybe it could be deaths in the family, illnesses, all of that kind of thing that can come with the job. And that's what this race was for. It was to help out, first responders. Well, why in the world would I take money out of the pockets of this organization when they're trying to help out and give money to these law enforcement or first responders individuals that need the money? There's no way I would ever do it. Not in any kind of charity situation. Absolutely not.
No, and that's perfect that you said that, because it's, as someone that's trying to become a photographer, you're trying to find the balance between what you like, learning to work for free, that way you gain the experience, but then also transitioning into things that it's like you got to get paid at some level. But then for like charity events, that's just something where it's just out of the kindness of your heart, and it's just like what what you what you sow, you shall reap. So even though that you didn't get paid for that event, there will be an event that, a car show or something that's super big, and that you are the lead photographer, and they're going to pay you a hefty amount, and you may have a team with you. And so, it's just like, even though some people may look at those events or those charity events of like, oh man, I got to spend like, $500 for a 3 night stay and food and gas and everything like that. And then they're like, is this truly worth it? But I believe it. I believe it is.
And again, and this story that we talked about prior to, where it's the one regret that I have, and it was the photographer that I learned from. And he started seeing like, hey, this whole car photography thing. He's a nature photographer, wildlife photographer. This whole car photography thing looks like it's kind of taken off. And my student is, seems to be doing pretty good with this. So I had met some folks that were on a Corvette club, or in a Corvette club, and they were wanting to do at the Food Line. It was the Food Line Auto Fair at the time at the Speedway, and they wanted to have a calendar for breast cancer awareness, and it was going to be pictures of their cars, and all the proceeds were going to go towards breast cancer. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is just an amazing opportunity for me to take these. I already kind of knew what I was going to do, but I even said, look, where are you guys going to be? What kind of club event do you have? Let me basically audition myself for you. I know you like the stuff that I do with the cars and coffee, but let's get you all out there and just basically audition myself. This is what I would be able to do for the calendar. And they ended up going to a place that was similar to Hooters. So I ended up I did use some of the girls, because I had never used people in shots before, and it's not like it was just having the girls sit in the car or something like
Yeah.
that. But they were thrilled with them, and they were like, yes, we want you to do this calendar. Well, my teacher at the time, he said, hey, I'd like to try to work with you in a business sense. I was completely clueless, and he was a paid photographer for wildlife and nature scenes and all of that. And I thought, well, he knows what he's doing. So here we go, sitting with the club, and he outprices. I just remember sitting there thinking, this is a fortune. And I thought, there's no way these guys are going to go for this. But I sat there, and he explained everything and how much it was all going to charge. He was going to charge for everything. And they said, thanks, but no thanks. And they ended up going in a completely different direction, went with a consignment photographer, car consignment photographer. And basically they put the Corvettes in a light booth, took the shot, on to the next. So there was nothing super creative about the location, about taking just a front end of a picture, or getting super creative with headlights or taillights or anything like that. It was just a profile shot of the car, and that's what they put out for their calendar. And I
No.
thought, here was a chance. Talk about getting your name out there. Here was a chance to be able to do this. They wanted you to do it, but then you asked, for it was a hefty price, because again, if they're trying to do something for charity, why are you going to just have it become some $5,000 shoot? And
Yeah.
it just, yeah, and that was the end of it. I just kind of thought, you know what? I would have never charged a thing, because I need to get my name out there. That is absolutely everything. And I did take a couple years off. I've only started to get back onto the scene a few years ago, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm ready to get back into it. I'm ready to try something new, learning speed photography, because I was really burned out with still cars, just still at these cars. Even if it's just a private shoot, it didn't matter. It was just a sit alone car, not going anywhere. And I really wanted to start learning these speed shots. And it's like building your resume. You learn a new skill, and then you can show somebody, hey, check out this, this bike going 200 miles an hour, and the clarity that I was able to get. We can do this with your car, and then they go, oh man, that's really cool. And then the opportunities start to come by. And but it's hard to, especially with having a career, it's hard to do that and not get pretty burned out come Sunday night. So I am now particularly a bit more choosy. I'm not going to be going at all to all the car shows out there. I'm going to be very selective about what I get involved in now. And it is yeah, the actual, as I do enjoy car shows, but I will go to them when I am not having to take an entire day to do a show, unless I am asked to do it for some particular reason. But to
Yeah.
just simply go out there. Now, if this were my full-time job, I would be going to all the shows, and I would be getting my name out there, and I would be out there with just soliciting my business. There is no break from that if you truly, because as we talked, you've got to separate, you've got to make yourself stand out,
Yeah.
because there is so much competition. When I first started in 2016 with Cars and Coffee, there was one other photographer. She was really good. And she had been a business, but what she really specialized in was taking really unique angles of, like, literal body parts of the car. So maybe there was the fender had some really cool crease in it, to where she was able to really just enhance the shadows or something like that. And you wouldn't even know what car it came from, but that's where her niche was. That's where she liked to to take these types of super arty pictures of cars. So it was me and her that, because the competition, I felt like, all right, I got somebody else here that I got to kind of compete a little bit against with. But by the time a year in when was over in Cars and Coffee, we had photographers, we had videographers. There was so many people out there, and that's what it's to stand out from the tons of people that go to these shows now. Yeah, it's hard. You definitely have to get yourself out there more so now than ever, for sure.
Than ever. It's so hard,
Yeah.
but it's so worth it. You find
Yeah.
yourself like, what? And really, it's just taking the time to ask yourself the question, like, what is it that I can do that will set me apart? Is it the preparation that I spend, doing research on different angles and how to get the best angle, or even how to, like, and really this just takes experimenting, but
It
the
does.
thousands of shots that you take, just, what looks a little bit different than what everybody else is doing, but still looks good and still looks aesthetically pleasing. And so that's where a lot of people, they think you can just take like a head first picture. It's just like straight on, and then they're like, well, why are my pictures not blowing up on Instagram, or why are my pictures not being noticed? And it's just like, well, because you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, and so um, that's why they don't blow up. And it's just, you have to have this, like, creativity, like, you have to have the gears running within your creative mind that says, like, oh, I don't care what I look like doing this. I'm just gonna do it because I think it's gonna look cool. And
Right.
that's just like, it sparks your interest of, like, oh dang, like, and that's what people connect with. They connect with something that's real and authentic and true to who you are. And so letting that shine really allows you to stand out, because there's only one of you, and
Right.
there's not another person like you. So it's just like realizing that whatever makes you unique, tapping into that, and then just going full force. So that's really good. Um, I definitely want to have you on for another episode, kind of diving deeper in the photography world, and just kind of, the elements on what it takes to balance both of these. So I would love to have you on again.
Yeah.
But we have reached the end of the podcast episode. So I do want to say thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I
It's
mean,
been a pleasure too. I feel like we could talk for like 2 hours about this.
yep, yep.
But yeah, no, it's great. I'm psyched that you're here and doing this, and I hope you have plenty of other people that you can talk to as well about the whole industry. I think it's a great thing that you're doing this.
Thank you so much. I know it's a step of faith, but I know it's the right step
It
of
is.
faith.
And
So,
and when you know that, that is everything. But
mm,
yeah, and the next one for sure. We also can talk about, and we can glean more into it with the passion versus paid, because there
mm.
really is and this is what other photographers have told me as well, that you start losing the passion a little bit once money starts changing hands,
Whoa,
and
that's good.
you end up being um you no longer because a lot of people have said that they can see the passion that I have when I'm shooting. I I didn't really know that they had seen that. I didn't know honestly what they were really talking about, but they said, "No, you can tell that you absolutely love doing this." And they were pushing with the payment. Like, you got to get out there and you got to be paid. And I was talking to other people that were doing this both as a hobby and both as getting paid, and they said there is a really fine line where you are going to lose the passion because there is a money exchange happening, and you now are putting yourself kind of almost in this box of okay, I'm getting $1,000 for this shoot. I have to make sure that I get and there's this a lot more pressure that comes with it because now you're getting paid. You want the person to be happy, and you lose almost your creativity of maybe trying something different because you got to stay within this particular box.
Mm,
And it's and I would rather have the passion all day long than start becoming than start losing the creativity piece or whatever makes me unique in my photos because now there's a lot of money riding on it.
yeah.
um, I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. So there is that. If you can have marry both, perfect. But I haven't. Right now, it's trading up. For the shoot coming up with Hannah, it'll be trading up some training from her as well as some gear for this shoot. And I am completely cool with something like that than saying, "Hey, how about $1,000?" Because then I just even saying that to you makes me automatically change how I feel about the whole process. So,
Well, and I think sometimes that's a perspective that, um, it's because you want to get paid for what you do because you enjoy it and this is what you love to do, but you also need to feed the family. So it's like, it's
yes.
just realizing that, sometimes you have to, uh, and I guess that's just something that, so we'll save this for the next podcast because I know that we could dive deep into this. Um,
But I know,
but
I understand everything. I know what you're saying. Absolutely. I know what
I'm
you're saying.
like, I'm so thankful that you brought that up because I definitely want to put that aspect in my book. I'm creating a book, so just trying to get these elements put together, and that's definitely something that I want um, to note within the book. So yeah, just thank
Yeah,
you for all
yeah,
that you do,
absolutely.
and
No,
thank you
man.
for being a vessel.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it is. It is by God's grace. I mean, he gives us these opportunities. He gives us these talents. And going back, obviously you won't use this on the podcast, but going back to that Lamborghini owner, I looked him up because he had his Instagram on the Lamborghini. And I looked him up real quick and didn't have really any pictures. It wasn't about his car. I wasn't sure what he was about till we ended up coming home and I went and looked at him online and just looked at some reels. And it was F bombing
Oh,
everything. And it was F this and you got it. He was one of these like motivational, like
yeah,
speak
yeah.
kind of guys. And for some reason, the trend is to just cuss in half the things that in most of the sentence that you are saying. And I thought to myself, and this is something we definitely can talk about too. I thought to myself, if I have this guy, because I don't dig the F bombs every other word. If this guy comes out to the shoot with this car, he is going to be around people that I don't want him talking like this to. And it's funny because I said to David, I said, after looking at this profile and listening to these reels and couldn't get through a reel without F bombing, I don't want him. Like,
Yeah.
he's got this awesome car, but you are not what I want to be representative of this team for this shoot.
Hmm.
I need because this is going to be however long it's going to take till we're all like, yeah, this was cool. I think I got what I needed and all that. I don't need you talking to people that are there that don't talk like he does. Just getting very, with the cussing. I couldn't believe that, and I was disappointed. And I thought, I don't want people being around that because I know that the people I am going to be around are not going to appreciate it. And he is
Yeah.
there for this shoot, which is because it's basically like not only am I getting the car, but I'm also getting the individual. It's the same thing with you. If
Mm.
I did not think that you were going to be a positive representation of just a decent individual when
Yeah.
we are out on something, I would not be like, "Hey man, come on out," when because all of that is very distracting when you're in the zone. I don't want to be shooting Hannah and hearing in the off in the distance, "F this, F that, da 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 da." Like it's going to be too distracting. It's going to bother me. I don't want it. And
Yeah.
you know, but with you and the times that we've been talking and getting to know each other and all of that, that's why I have no problem with you being on set, because I feel like you would be professional. You would just be easy to work with if we were like truly working where I needed some specific whatever from
Mm.
you. But that you're going to be easygoing with the people that I know are going to be around me. You're going to fit right in, and you're not, and it's going to be like, "Oh, yeah, Carolyn came by and Blake came by and they were such a great pair to work with," and da 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 da. That's what you want
Yeah.
versus, "Yeah, Carolyn had some guys and they all were just like these needed beers every 2 seconds and cussing," and
Yeah.
that's not what I want to leave behind whenever
No.
I'm leaving somebody's shoot with somebody. That there's no way that I want that. And yeah, you know what? That might be losing some connection and network there, right? But this is the God piece.
Yeah.
This guy isn't glorifying God by being there and being very outwardly just kind of jerk sounding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and you're kind of, your integrity you've got to keep with you the whole time.
Mm.
So it's kind of like God may say, "Oh, well, here's the car that you need for your big shoot you want to do," but he's going to be a piece of work to deal with and arrogant and the whole 9 yards, and it's not going to represent me well at all, and it's not going to represent you well at all, because you're being cool with this guy being the way that he is. So you need to think about that kind of thing as well. About how, if you really are in, if you're with the Lord on this, you're going to have to make these kinds of calls and you're going to have to make these kinds of decisions, because you want to walk away with everybody feeling like it was a great time, great shoot, it was professional. And yeah, you can definitely have some networking going on, but I that is something I think we also should discuss, because that is a huge piece of it. When I keep hearing on YouTube constantly of all these people are selling out and for a buck, you know, I thought, yeah, I definitely don't want to do that, because that will follow you forever. And
Forever.
I just don't want to have that be attached to me at all. I only want, you know, good people to be attached in some way. And if you are not going to be that, it doesn't matter what I'm getting paid. If this guy, even if Lambo were to be, saying, "Hey, I'll give you $2,000 to shoot my car," I would not take that job, because yeah, it's 2 grand. We all could use 2 grand, but not at the expense of that.
It's not the
So
right 2 grand.
no,
So,
absolutely not.
wow,
So
that's
anyway,
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I really needed that. Um, so, all right, everyone. Carolyn, she is a wonderful woman, a woman of faith, most importantly, and she's doing amazing things within the photography space. And I know that she's going to go far. It's just a matter of time before she grows out of the dirt into allowing this to be her full-time passion, like I know it is for you as well. So, with that, everyone, this has been the Films Podcast. Until next time, bye.
thank you.